So I come to Medjugorje, and I really came as a skeptic, really looking with a critical eye. We stayed with Ivan the Visionary, but I kind of felt in my heart that if anything miraculous would have happened to me would be on the Feast of the Assumption, August 15th. That was a great feast for me. It's when I first did the consecration to our Blessed Mother, and it's also the birthday of my grandmother, who had a great influence in my own vocation. So I kind of felt in my heart that if anything special would happen, would be on the Feast of the Assumption, August 15th. So that day we went to the English Mass, and it was a beautiful Mass, and afterwards I was walking through the fields and kind of opening up my own heart to the Lord, and any fears and questionings and anxieties that I may have had in my own life or my vocation. I just kind of poured out my heart to Jesus and Mary. And that night we were in the apparition room, and really with a real critical eye, very questioning the whole Medjugorje experience and what was going on. As the apparition was taking place, the alleged apparition, Ivan was kneeling there in front of the statue of Our Lady, and it was a small room, and there was about 20 of us kind of in the apparition room, and I was in the corner of the room. And as the apparition's going on, I'm looking up there and I'm saying, is anything really there? Is anything really happening? And then I realized that, well, whether Mary is appearing there or not, Mary still hears our prayers. So I just said to her, I said, Blessed Mother Mary, whether you're here or not, I just want you to take my heart and give me the heart of Jesus, your Son. So that was my prayer as the apparition was going on. And then after the apparition, Ivan went on to explain how Our Lady looked, and he said she came today wearing gold, and there were 3 angels by her feet. It was her feast day, the Feast of the Assumption, and she only wears gold either Christmas or Easter, but that year on the Feast of the Assumption she happened to be wearing gold, and there were 3 angels by her feet. And he said then she started from that corner of the room, and he pointed right where I was. I was right in the corner of the room. And he said she had her hand like this, and then she was going around the room, starting from that corner again. He pointed where I was. He asked all of you to give her your hearts, and she will give you the heart of Jesus, her Son. Now that was the exact prayer that I said. You know, no one knew that was the prayer in my heart. And I just, at that moment, I knew there was something very special about Medjugorje. And then I came back right before I was ordained the deacon, and asked Our Lady for the graces that I needed for my own vocation, but also for my grandfather, who was very sick at the time. He was 89 years old and away from the sacraments for over 60 years. And one of my intentions for the pilgrimage was to pray for his conversion. And I walked up the apparition hill that night, and I remember asking Our Lady that the last night I was here, just begging her to intercede for him, to bring him back to the sacraments after so many years. And he kind of was very hard hearted. He didn't want to come back to the sacrament, to confession. And I even had a priest before I came trying to get him to go. He wouldn't go. He wouldn't budge. And I just came here to Medjugorje, and I just offered all my sufferings up, all the sacrifices I made for his conversion. And that following day I made back to New York, and I was laying on the couch waiting to go on retreat before my diaconate, and I just kind of got inspiration to ask him if he wanted to go to confession. And I did, and he said yes, after like 60 years, you know, not going to confession. And a very great priest, Father Andrew Apostoli, heard his confession, gave him the sacraments, and that following Saturday he received communion at my ordination after 60 years.